So here's a project I've been wanting to do for a while. I have an old pair of jeans, obviously, and I wanted to revamp them into a skirt. So here I'm showing you how to even up the sides so each side looks balanced. And I didn't use a pinking shears here, but it would be wise to use pinking because then it doesn't unravel when you wash it and you don't get the strands coming out, the strings, I should say. Here I'm also cutting the little lap that comes over so that it lays flat, and I'm just going to pin it there so when I sew the fabric on top of it, it will lay flat and blend in better. Here I'm showing you where it swoops to one side, and you just want to make sure that both sides are even, pretty much. Then this is the fabric I'm going to use. I don't have quite the same amount on both sides, so it is considered a remnant, but I really liked this blue with the stars. There goes my doggy. So what I'm doing is just shoring up both sides to be even, and I'm going to cut right down the middle here. So I think I get a measure. Yeah, I measure both sides, and you want to be pretty accurate when it comes to, of course, making them even. And then once I cut them, I'm going to extend them so that they're long. Well, you'll see here in a second. So this is the part where I'm going to cut off this little corner because there's only material on one side. So I'm just going to shore that up, and I'll sew both ends together so they're one continuous piece of fabric. So here I am lining it up to sew, and I notice that one end is longer than the other, so I'm going to trim that end off. So much for measurement. Save your bits and scraps because you can use it for another project. So here is my Necky sewing machine. It's an Italian machine that is, gosh, probably 40, 50 years old, and it's still going. It's a little bit noisy. So after you finish sewing that, you're going to take your pinking shears and Sorry the camera cut it off, but pinking shears are very handy because, like I said before, they keep the material from stringing up when you wash it. So here I am getting it ready for the actual gathering of, making it a ruffle type effect. I'm going to use a high stitch number, and I only run it through once. Some people do it twice, but I am just going to use number 4 stitch, which is a wide stitch, and as you see here, it'll start gathering and ruffling it. So you can adjust it once you get your material pinned together, but it pretty much came out the way I wanted it to. So the ruffle's finished, and now I'm going to attach it to the top jean part, but I noticed that the ruffle wasn't long enough, so I am taking in the sides of the jean top a little bit to accommodate the ruffle. I thought maybe I might be a little shy, but I mean, this skirt, I didn't measure it for anybody, but when you put all this together, it would be wise to have the person's measurements or them there to try things on. So there, I took it in. I didn't show you with the machine, but because it was pretty simple. And here I am pinking the top part of the ruffle because I'm going to use the ruffle as a frayed end at the top, so it looks kind of puffy. It puffs out after you wash it, which I think is a cool effect, and I think it'll add to the look. To give you an idea of the frayed look at the top, I'm showing you another jean skirt that I did a couple weeks ago, and this one is washed, so you can see the soft fray at the top. It will even get softer as you wash it more. So start pinning the ruffle to the front of the jean top and work your way around to the back. Spread out the ruffle so it's even and the way you like it to look. I think I had more ruffles in the front than I do in the back. So I start pinning it from the center and work out to the right and then work out to the left side, and then I will flip it over once I'm done and finish the back. The tricky thing with this is that when you come to the seam that needs to be sewn together, you have to sew the ruffle seam before you sew it to the pant. So you really have to do a good job measuring and just kind of adjusting and that kind of thing. So here I'm finishing up doing the back. And you want to do a fairly decent job so it looks all even, and sometimes it takes a little more finagling as you pin. I'm just about finished here, and then I will go to the machine and start sewing around. I'm going to use a number 2 stitch so that it's not a loose stitch, it's a tighter stitch. So when you get it all adjusted, you just begin to sew, and I always start from the center front and go around. So in increments, take your time. I pull out pin one by one, of course. Some people leave them in, but I've always pulled them out. And here is the ruffle up close. This is before washing. The other fun thing that I wanted to do with the same material was make a pocket front. So I cut a piece of extra material to the size I desired and made some adjustments in order for it to fit the edge of the pocket. So I want it to be at least a half an inch wide, and I folded over the ends first. Use a hot iron to crease the edges so that they will stay into place. It makes it a little less cumbersome. Here's the example in stages so you can get the idea. Basically folding the edges in on itself. So I chose to stitch the ends so it would make a nice finish. Once you have it all folded over, you can start pinning it to the top and just keep pinning so that you're following the edge around. Kind of pin and smooth it out until you get to the other side. Then begin to stitch at the top and carefully pull your needle through, and I always make little knots at the top just to hold it better. Continue stitching all the way down until it's completely attached. Subscribe and give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed watching this. Thank you. Happy sewing!